Welcome back to Leeds Lately. As promised in the video from the other day, we're going to be talking about some signings that we should make this summer. The first one we're going to talk about is a centre-back. So before we get into that, make sure you hit that big red button down below. The first one is Leonardo Balerdi. He's a 26-year-old defender from Marseille. He's their captain at the moment, and he's worth a reported 20 million euros, which is 17 million pounds. That's via Transfermarkt. But there's been Roma interest all the way since he was back at Boca Juniors, apparently. And if news articles and such are led to be believed, Marseille would be asking for 40 million euros from Roma. So I would imagine it's somewhere in between the truth. Probably around 25 million euros, 30 million euros for the 26-year-old. Now, Balerdi is a ball-playing centre-back, very good feet, very good at a kind of, when you see Rodon charge forward a little bit at times and go past a load of plays, he's kind of that, but a lot better at it. He's able to play the ball nicely, he's good at passing. He's a very good progressor of the ball with 99.64 passes attempted per 90. That puts him in the 99th percentile, so the top 1% in Europe's top 5 leagues of centre-backs. His pass completion rate as well is 93.3%, which puts him in the 96th percentile, top 4%. And as well, his progressive passes, so passes that go 10 yards up the pitch at least. So essentially, that's a simplified version, but is he progressing the ball? Is he playing the ball forwards, trying to get the ball up the pitch, rather than when you see defenders playing sideways and backwards a lot of the time? So his progressive passes are 4.49 per 90, which puts him in the 80th percentile, so the top 20% of defenders in Europe, centre-back, that is. And successful take-ons, 0.95 per 90, which puts him in the 99th percentile, so the top 1%. Now, he really is a defender who is a ball-playing defender. But as it says in the title, is he just another Koch or Llorente? Now, the reason I say this is because he's got a few kind of crazy bits about him. And one of those is that he absolutely loves charging out of the defence to meet the ball. A little bit like you saw kind of what we would have Llorente and Koch doing under Bielsa, where they'd come flying out and try and win the ball. That could be really risky in the Premier League, and we've seen that where I've seen that live when we got smashed 7-1 by Man City in the stadium. That was horrendous, and I don't want to see that happen in the Premier League this time. So if we were to sign somebody like Leonardo Balerdi, I wouldn't want him to be doing things like that, because if you do charge out, you can easily get done in the Premier League by somebody with like Salah or Haaland, somebody who's got that ability to just turn and go. You could get made an absolute sausage out of. So he needs to be careful with things like that if we were to sign him. 4 errors this season, which is the most in any kind of season so far. Those errors leading to shots. That's the most in any of his seasons so far. I think last season he made 3, and before that, some of them had been like 0, which had been really good. So apparently he lacks concentration at times, which is not a good sign to hear, is it, when you're talking about a centre-back? Now, I've been on some Marseille subreddits and stuff and had a look at what people are saying about him, saying like he's such a vital player to the team and the way that they play. And it's a shame that sometimes he makes those mistakes. The other thing as well is that I saw a guy on Twitter as well who was saying about him that he is, like I said, good progressor, but a bit of a dodgy defender at times. He's a good defender as well. He makes a lot of tackles. Tackles per 90 is 2.4, which puts him in the top 5% in Europe's centre-backs. Interceptions per 90, 1.52, which puts him in the 86th percentile, so the top 14% in Europe of centre-backs. And that shows that he's very good at reading the game. He's very good at one-on-one defending, making tackles, but his concentration could lack at times, and his aerials one is pretty low on 1.64 per 90, which is the 31st percentile, so the bottom 31%, and blocks as well as 1.07, which puts him in the 27th percentile, so the bottom 27%. So there are a few things here, like nobody's perfect, but this guy seems to have a few flaws in areas where I would say for the money that you would be spending on him, I would expect a more complete centre-back. And this time round, I'm kind of looking more pragmatically at these signings, because last time I was very much like, okay, well, this guy's really good at progressing the ball. He's very good at passing and all that sort of thing. And you think, yeah, that's great because we're playing a passing system. This time, I think we need to be a little bit more pragmatic. Now, Joe Rodon might not have had the best progressive and the best passing stats, and he's not the best kind of ball-playing defender, Rodon. And at times we've gone, well, some of his passing's not been great, but it's rarely ever led to any mistakes. It's more that Joe Rodon's a very solid defender, but he can play with the ball as well. And that's what I'd be more leaning to this time, because we're in the Premier League, because it's going to be against top defenders. You'd rather have a more solid centre-back who can play with the ball as well, rather than a really good ball player who can defend as well, if you get what I mean. I'd rather have the first one of those two situations. So for me, Balerdi, he seems like a very good player, and he seems like a very good player for Marseille, and self-professed, they have said, the Marseille fans, that he's one of their most important players, and he's a really good player for them. But what I want to clarify is that Marseille are a team who are high up in the table. I think the other week when I saw those posts, I think they were second in the division at the time. So what that says to me is a little bit of a Jesse Marsch situation, where you get kind of carried away with some of the players given the team that they've played in. So let's take it to Jesse Marsch's. We saw that Brendan Aronson, Max Verber, Rasmus Christensen, players like that had been really good for RB Salzburg. But the reason that they were really good for RB Salzburg is that RB Salzburg were always the top in the division and were always first or second and were dominating everyone. Same with Marseille. They're one of the best teams in France, so they're going to be dominating all their opposition. So when you've got a centre-back like Balerdi who maybe could make a few mistakes, he's not going to be exposed as much because he's playing in a team where he can just be a ball-playing centre-back all the time. Whereas if you then come to Leeds and you're down the bottom of the Premier League fighting for your life, is he going to be a player who you find often makes mistakes in the big moments because he's facing far more attacks than he usually would in his Marseille side? That's the kicker for me. So in my opinion, I would say this is one to steer clear of. He looks great for a top team. I think if Roma signed him and he went to Italy, he'd be brilliant for them. I think if Leeds signed him and he went to the Premier League, I think it's the wrong fit, because I do think that with the amount of pressure that we'd be under, having somebody who can crack under pressure just because he's a really good ball player is not the best idea to do. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments below as well of Balerdi, if you've seen him or heard of him. And let me know what you think, or just based off my kind of assessment here. I think it's a steer clear, this one. But it's an interesting one because if we do see him come in, I do still think he would be a very good player for us. I just think you don't want to have those... When you're already scrapping at the bottom, you don't want to have a player who's making mistakes that lead to goals. You really don't. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.